What is up, you guys? I have a brand new video for you, and in today's video we have more FNaF NECA concepts. This time around it is on FNaF 6 or Ffps. This is a video you guys have been constantly asking for, and since it is a two-person job with these types of videos, it does make it a little more complicated, so I apologize this couldn't get out sooner. Now before we get into the first concept, I just want you to know these figures can become a reality with the petition linked below. You could sign these figures and they could become real. With that out of the way, Peanut Butter and Jacob, you could start us off with the first concept.
First up, we have Molten Freddy. Now, he's going to be a very hard figure for them to pull off, but I believe if they do the right materials and articulation for it, it could work out very well. In terms of his lower body, he will not have any sort of legs. He'll just have one big solid kind of bundle of wires, one giant solid mound, a base, if you will. His body can probably be like a bendy material, almost like a wire. And in terms of his arms, they could probably be full sculpted, articulated, but for his spine, you're going to want to get that nice bend. He won't have any interchangeable hands, which I think is fair, because the hands that come with him on the stock figure will be good enough for any sort of pose you want to do for him. As always, the jaws on the heads will be on hinges. He comes with 3 heads total. One of them is with his eye lit up red. And the alternative heads, one of them is the yellow eye, and the other is the empty eye, like during the salvage table portion of the game. If you look at Molten Freddy, he does not really have much of a neck. So unfortunately, he will not have a neck joint or anything. So the heads will connect directly to the body. However, with the body being a nice malleable piece of wire, I do believe you'll still get a good range of motion from that. In terms of the accessories that come with these figures, there's not really a lot we could do for FNaF 6. So the best option we thought of would be to include Trash in the gang. And Molten Freddy comes with 2 separate figures. He comes with Mr. Can-Do and number 1 crate. The accessories don't have any form of articulation, they're just static props, but they still look nice. Whenever Molten Freddy is put into packaging, he may need to have some assembly done. For example, maybe his spine would detach from his base of wires and be set behind him in the packaging at an angle on a separate clamshell attached to the main one. Because Molten Freddy is a huge figure and it would be hard to fit him in a package with how big his base is.
And the next figure is of Scraptrap. Now, Scraptrap is a pretty basic figure explaining wise, but just to get more in depth, the stuff he comes with is Mr. Hugs as his Trash in the Gang accessory. He'd just be a static statue. Maybe his gloves will be on a swivel, but most likely he probably just wouldn't be posable at all because it is supposed to be just like a little kind of separate statue. And Scraptrap's separate head is him with his mouth open. Now, the reason he has separate heads for his mouth being open and closed is because his jaw is too tiny for them to add a hinge joint. You could see how they did this in their Godzilla 2019 wave with Rodan. They did a separate head sculpt for him with his mouth open and one for his mouth closed. So it is pretty common for NECA to do, but they wouldn't do it with the other figures because their jaws are big enough for hinges. And yeah, Scraptrap would have basic articulation, no articulation in the ears because of how their sculpt is. And yeah, you'd have trackball eyes and everything, and he'd just be more of a basic figure, but with just crazy amounts of detail given the design of Scraptrap.
Next up, we have Scrap Baby herself. Her articulation will be rather interesting compared to the other figures in the Five Nights line. Her feet will be static in terms of the wheels. They will not be functioning wheels. That would just be very impractical for posing the figure. But she will come with all the standard articulation, such as ball joints on the feet, hinges at the knee, universal joints on the head and the upper arms, hinge at the elbows, ball joints on the hand, all that stuff. However, she will have articulation on the claw. The lower part of her claw will be able to open and close, which would be very nice for different poses, depending on how you want to pose her. She will come with 1 alternative head where her mouth is open. Because her mouth is so small compared to her face, as well as the endoskeleton jaw, I just felt it'd be better to just have it as an alternative head. Accuracy for her open mouth may be called into question, but if you look at her Ultimate Custom Night Gem Scare, you will see that her mouth opens like that, so that is accurate. Her accessory would be Bucket Bob, and again, he will not come with any sort of articulation. He may come with a small base though, such as how they did the Freddy Krueger puppet accessory that came with the Ultimate Part 3 Freddy Krueger, which came with a little puddle of blood as a stand. they could probably do something for Bucket Bob to stand easier. Looking at the design of the box, it is very nice. The front of these boxes all line up with each other, so that way, if you were to set the boxes all together, they would all be uniform, with the exception of the top logo and the colors on the text. If you do not recognize what the box is replicating, it is replicating the 8-bit minigame from the very start of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator when you boot the game for the very first time.
And the last and final figure of today is of Lefty. Now, Lefty is another basic one to explain. He is almost like any other normal figure. For the stuff he comes with Pan Stan, and he does come with an alternate head with his mouth open. Now, a lot of you might be saying, you just said before in the figure that you were explaining that for figures with bigger jaws, there could be added hinges, but in Lefty's case, his mouth opens in such a way where it just drops down, and there's not really a way to do that on a figure, especially with Lefty's pulls, which are very unique to his jaw, so it would just be easier and more accurate to have it as a separate head. And for Pan Stan, just like Peanut Butter and Jacob explained when he was explaining Scrap Baby's accessories, he would probably come with something to stand him up. And Lefty's articulation would again be pretty normal besides the hinge jaw, that would be a separate head. And yeah, just normal articulation for Lefty, basically the same as Scraptrap almost. Thank you guys so much for sticking around till the end of the video. If you did enjoy this video, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Also subscribe to Peanut Butter and Jacob. He did half of the covering of the figures, and he also made all of the renders in this video. So remember to go subscribe to him because we are also making a FNaF NECA remastered on the Wizards and the toy animatronics, and we are doing that because I had to make those renders, and I am not very experienced with renders, so they did not come out very well, but Peanut Butter and Jacob is much more experienced, and we're just going to be doing that on his channel, so I do recommend you go subscribe to him. Again, links will be in the description below, as always.
And as always, do not forget to sign the petition in NECA. The link to that will be in the description. We're getting an insane amount of signatures, and I believe if we get enough, NECA might see that this is a product that could potentially be beneficial to them to push out.
Very well said, Jacob. That is all we have to say for this video. If you do want to check out the other FNaF NECA concepts, you can check them out in the description below. I will see all of you guys later. God bless. Goodbye. Mwah.